Hi, I'm Patrick Dooley. I'm the Senior Product Manager for GitLab's Ecosystem Group, and this is our 13.1 kickoff. We're going to talk a little bit about the work that we'll be doing over the next month, including some documentation updates, some new components that we're adding to Pyjamas, and some work that we're doing on mass integrations. So first, we've been working with ServiceNow over the last few months, developing an integration between our product and their DevOps plugin. So the integration is specifically for change management, which is when you want to set up a process or workflow that allows changes to be approved or requires changes to be approved before they can get deployed to production. This integration is primarily done on the ServiceNow side. On the GitLab side, it's simply adding a project webhook and configuring your project and environment in a specific way. But we need to make the documentation very clear for our users to make it easy for them to integrate that thing appropriately, and so it's working in the way they expect. So we'll be adding some docs that overview adding the webhook, where they would get that endpoint from ServiceNow, and then how you add it to a project, how you enable the integration on the ServiceNow side, how you configure it, and then some other hints and tips and tricks to make sure that you can get it set up correctly. We're really excited to have this integration added. It's been a big request for quite a while, and so it's been great working with them to get this up. On the mass integration front, we've got a couple of changes that we'll be doing. So specifically, this is a backend change. We're adding a new field on the database side for projects project integrations, that allow them to inherit from an ID, and then you can pass it an instance ID so it inherits that integration from the instance level. If it is set to nil, then it will not inherit from anything, and so it'll use its own settings. This is a back-end change specifically, so this doesn't affect anything on the front end, except there will be some front-end code that has to get reworked to make sure that it's respecting these settings. Additionally, we've got a page that we're adding, or a view that we're adding, that will show the project overrides. So it's easier to show you than talk about it. So this is our Figma mockup. If you're interested, you can find this on that issue. So this is on the admin side. So in the admin area, we're soon to add an integrations page. So you can see all of the instance level integrations. So if we scroll down here to Jira, who is our constant companion for demos, Jira, so this is again the admin side, integrations Jira. This allows you to set those specific fields and save them. And the table in question is here. And we don't have any data to show in this particular mockup, but this allows you to see the projects that are using custom settings. So projects that are specifically overriding the things that are being added at the instance level. And again, to back up a few fields, so that means that projects that have inherit from ID set to nil. So that's what we're working on for mass integrations. We do also have a new small setting that'll set it so that newly created projects have that set to the instance level ID by default. So moving on, we've got two new components that we're working on for Pyjamas, specifically a file uploader and progress bars. I think every time I talk about Pyjamas work, I always talk about how I'm excited about a specific component. Progress bars are really valuable. They're used all over the place. I'm really excited to see how we approach that. So that's awesome. So please start using those in your builds. Once we get those in, file uploader and progress bars should be available soon. And then we've got some work on the GDK. So broadly, we've got an epic that we just opened. There are a couple of specific issues that we've got scheduled for 13.1. But broadly, right now what we're working on is improving the GDK documentation, specifically to make it easier for new contributors. For those who've been using the GDK for a few years, it's all pretty straightforward. But for those who are brand new to it, it can be kind of difficult to dive into. So this is specifically improving documentation around how you set it up the first time, how do you maintain it, how do you use it. We have a bunch of updates that need to happen to the prereqs, right? So we've got like a Google Chrome prereq that's a little out of date, has some old info. How we manage Ruby, how we manage Node, all of these things need some updates around what their documentation tells you to do. And then specifically, this is a really weak issue, but it's kind of an open question. What does it look like to have a one-line or one-click install of the GDK? So Ash, who's our awesome maintainer on the GDK, is currently investigating that and hoping to have an MVC out in 13.1. And that's it. That's what we're up to in 13.1. We're super excited. It's going to be best release ever. See you next month.